Let's see if we can do another one take wonder on this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is a very off the cuff kind of rant video. I was gonna make this last week, but I was traveling. I was actually camping. First trip in the RV, which is not done. But I was gonna make this video right away, kind of a knee-jerk reaction. But I didn't because I feel like it'd be fulfilling what I'm about to talk about. And I saw a lot of other big YouTubers make this same video. It was obviously after following the release of the S9, whatever that camera's called that Lumix just released. And the biggest thing was it just was very obvious that like the shills came out like left and right from creators that I like. And Gerald Undone did a really good job video on this. I'll link it in the description below. Maybe I'll put it up here or wherever it is in the corner. So you guys can go watch it after you watch this video. But you know, I think what I'm trying to say is, just one take. I think what I'm trying to say is this. Ultimately, I think that photography as a whole is as popular as it's ever been, but for photographers, for people who are aspiring photographers, it's as confusing as lost and is kind of in a crisis as it's ever been. And the reason why I know this is because I'm kind of living proof of this, right? And so I'm one of those people that enjoys taking photos, enjoys the gear for sure, obviously, likes to talk with other people about it. I'll go back to that in a second, and all this different stuff. And I think what you're witnessing right now is a lot of people that are interested in photography are kind of just lost. And the S9 kind of was, in my opinion, the pinnacle of this. So let me start with kind of the camera market as a whole and YouTubers that support it. So I candidly think that right now we're in this like spot with cameras that innovation is very minimal, incremental, and in addition to that, because when you boil down photography, you really just need like the three things, like aperture exposure, right, and then obviously photosensitivity, and then you got to have composition and stuff like that. But that's up to the photographer. Everything else in addition to that are just aids or tools to make the photographic process easier. And obviously with the autofocus and eye tracking and all the things that with frame rates and blah, 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 it makes things better, right? The image sensors are getting cleaner, for better or worse, generally better, but some people prefer a different look. And so, but when you boil it all down, photography, the cameras themselves, like I can pick up my old Nikon FE2 and enjoy that as much as like a new Leica M11 or this Olympus I'm filming you on or whatever, because really like the differences are incremental. And so it's really about the right tool for the right job, which you've heard a million times, but it's true. And so what I'm trying to say is I think cameras we're looking for exciting things, and the real big leaps in technology are far and few between. Like you don't need a lot of the stuff they're coming out with nowadays. And so I think from that perspective, a lot of things are just very small and incremental and underwhelming. The other part of it is how the YouTube community portion is set up. Now I'm part of this community in the respect that I put videos out here for you guys to watch. Really no other reason, just to communicate with you guys. I don't really monetize this. I don't have sponsors. I don't even try to become a big YouTuber. I don't really care. But in saying that, the community piece is kind of jacked up. Like, and this is where I think it kind of comes from. You saw all the people come out for the S9 yesterday. And like I said in Gerald's video, he explains like these people are trying to make a living on YouTube. And so they get flown out to Japan, or they fly out to Japan to get this release, and they get a couple hours of the camera, and like they all make these overwhelmingly positive reviews. And most of us are sitting back at home going like, yeah, but there's like only a cold shoe, and it's a electronic shutter only, and it has a record limit, but it's supposed to be a vlogging camera and all this stuff. You're like, this makes no sense. And all of you guys are praising it. Like, what is wrong with you guys? And I think that's where that, and I think it's because the YouTube community, the content creators that do an awesome job of creating content are it's hard to like, I feel like that maybe they feel like they're obligated. I don't know. I mean, instead of being real honest with themselves, and if you boil it all down, like the S9, there's nothing really special there at all. Maybe it's size, but there's not even an EVF or anything. It's just kind of in no man's land. And to see positive reviews, I think is kind of a byproduct of creators needing to put content out, wanting to be excited about just incremental upgrades, and try to find a positive spin. And I just think that, it's what you saw with that Lumix camera. Now, I've never held it, so maybe it is great, but just on paper for what people are looking for, it doesn't really seem to kind of nail it for either like vloggers, content creators, photographers, all at once. I don't know. It just seems a little prosumer or consumerish, and it still misses the mark there. Like I wouldn't even recommend it to people. Whatever. But back to the community piece of it, and this is kind of like where I was going with everything. We're looking for somewhere to put our content and create things that matter. Like Instagram's a mess right now. I mean, it's what is there in Instagram, right? I mean, I contribute there, but like, it's just, you get a few likes on there, which is not why I'm doing it, but it's really for my family and to kind of store things a little bit. Then there's YouTube, but the YouTube thing in itself is just getting old and crusty. You got like these shill release videos. It's more incremental upgrade. Like the Canon EOS R1's coming out soon, and like I'm sure it'll be mind blowing. But the reality is it far superior than the R3 in a lot of ways? I don't, we don't know yet. And there's people like doing street photography and taking pictures of people's back, and I get it. Street photography is hard. There's very little content on YouTube that's worth watching, including my own. I treat this as more of like a community, and there are people that come and watch this video every single time, all the time, that I talk to on a regular basis, and I communicate in the background. That's my reason. It's not to become popular or whatever. And so I just think there's a big lack of community, and I think for overall, like for me, I would enjoy having a group of local photographers that I could go out and walk with, and all that kind of stuff. The reality is that won't happen for me because I'm so busy that I have no time to do that. But like, I think that's where I would be happiest. And I probably would stop a lot of the gas stuff even more. And I would probably contribute less here on YouTube. I already am contributing less here on YouTube because every time I go to make a video where I'm comparing some kind of a lens or some kind of like difference or whatever, I just stop myself because I'm like, does anybody really care? Like, do people really care? Maybe they do. I don't know. But I'm like, do I really want to make this video? I don't know. And so my point is, I think there's just a lack of true photographic focused, photographic centric community where people are out taking images, learning something, exploring something, starting projects. And that's something I've been longing after. I've started some projects. And the question for me is, do I share these projects with here on YouTube or not? Because part of the project is me spending time, therapy with the camera and just taking pictures in a certain way and then trying to put it all together and me figuring it out. And for me to go onto YouTube and tell you about that takes away from that experience, but it also like puts me in the lights of like I'm some kind of an expert, some kind of photographic expert, and I'm not. And I don't ever want to come off as that. It would be more of like a come with me for this journey. And then how many people really care of me to take pictures of things that are local to my house or whatever that maybe I'm trying to tell a story, right? Maybe I just show the project in the end. That's what I'm thinking if and when I get there. And so it's a lack of community for sure. And it's these cameras that are barely coming up with incremental upgrades. And I think it's a lack of people truly engaging in photography itself, whether it be sports, action, wildlife, portraiture, whatever. And the people that are actually doing those things, when they make content on YouTube, what I've noticed is that it's a really, really slow start. Say you're a landscape photographer or portrait photographer. When you start that on YouTube, it's a really, really slow start because people want the headlines of the newest and latest camera with the newest feature and what's my opinion on it. But then what I've noticed is the channels that stick true to what they do. Let's say they get out every week and they go hike somewhere and take, pictures. And maybe they have some kind of like tip along with it. Like how to do best macro photography. I don't know. They start creating a more consistent following and it goes up from there. But that's a slow burn, right? And so for me, I have a hard time being consistent like that because of my kids' schedule, my hockey schedule, the work schedule, all this different stuff. I bought a GoPro or a DJI Action 4 to like chest mount and walk around with, but I haven't made content for you guys with that yet because just feel like the pictures coming out of it are not great. Maybe there's a story to tell there. I don't know. But overall, I think photography right now is in a really weird spot. I'll call it a crisis because it's as popular as it's ever been. It's on your phone. Everybody has access to raw editing and everything else you want to do on your phone. And you can take great pictures with a cell phone nowadays. And a camera that would be sufficient is super cheap. Like you can go buy entry-level Olympus cameras for super cheap and get a small lens and enjoy that and have a small package. You can buy like an old entry-level DSLR and maybe it won't be the best experience, but you can still make great images with that. Or you can buy like a Nikon Z9 or a Leica M11 or whatever and spend $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 or more. And you know, at the end of the day, you're going to get images. And so I don't, you know, whether you're trying to starve yourself of features to get a more pure experience, Leica, or you're trying to load up with features to give yourself every technological advantage there is, like a Canon R3 or a Nikon Z9 or Sony A1 or whatever. At the end of the day, I don't know if that stuff matters too much outside of like a specific photographic focus. Like if you're focusing the Detroit Red Wings or like the Detroit Lions or whatever football, hockey, baseball team, yeah, like you're going to want a specific high-end camera before it's feature set. But for 99% of Joe Schmoes, that's not really going to matter. You can shoot portrait photographer with a basic camera and do a really, really good job. That incremental upgrade in eye autofocus is not going to make you a better portrait photographer, right? Like even like landscapes, people are shooting 60 megapixel plus cameras. Yeah, okay, the added resolution is nice. I get it. But like really, how many people can see the difference between 24 megapixels and 60? It's hard to see. The lens makes a bigger difference for sure, right? Even shooting video like this, I'm shooting this on an OM5. Do I need like 6K open gate, 10-bit, 422 ProRes RAW, blah, blah, blah? No. 99% of us don't need that. And so I think that's what you're stuck with the camera market is that cameras are good enough, all of them. Cameras from 5 years ago are good enough, 10 years ago are good enough. These incremental upgrades we're all pining for are just like creating this cycle on YouTube where we're forced to kind of create content and try to be positive about it. And you're excited because you're wanting something big. But if you're to be honest with yourself and you boil it all down, you really don't need all that kind of stuff. And that lack of community drives that kind of behavior in a lot of ways. Whereas if you had like your group of friends or a group locally that you got to go out and do photo walks with and have conversations with and just actually work on your photography, it probably would take everything in a different direction. I wish I could be part of a photographic community where we had this. If someone knows where to go find it, please let me know. Even if it's online or if it's local, please let me know. But I feel like right now it's extremely hard to find that. And so I think, you know, my point is I think photography in a lot of ways is as popular as ever been, but it's in a crisis. And I've said that 3 times now. This was definitely a one-take video. And this is more of a conversation starter. If you made it all the way through the end of this rant, thank you for watching. Mustache is back. Going with my rooster, Top Gun Maverick look. It's interesting. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your week. I'm actually going to Paris next week. Not sure if I'll be able to chance to do anything photographic-wise, but maybe I'll document some of it. All right. See you in the next one.